Hey, what's up guys, Spitfire here, and the first Battlefield 4 gameplay has been released and it is amazing. If you haven't already seen the 17-minute gameplay, then check it out. The link will be in the description below. But as of right now, in this video, I'll be doing a complete breakdown of the gameplay, showing you guys a bunch of different details that you may have missed the first time around, such as confirmed locations, weapons, characters, and attachments, and etc, etc. Now, the first mission that we're going to take a look at is called Fishing in Baku. Baku is a city located in Azerbaijan, which is in the Middle East. Now, the squad you're in is called Tombstone, which consists of you and 3 other soldiers. The character you play is called Rucker, and you also have Dunn, which is the captain of the squad, and spoiler alert, further down the trailer he gets his leg cut off. Then there's Irish, who is the African-American soldier. Now, we've seen him before previously in some of the teaser photos that have been released on the Battlefield website. So he's probably one of the main characters that's by your side throughout the game. And last but not least, you have Pack, which is a soldier who has a beanie on throughout the whole entire gameplay. Now, for a bit of background story here, the Tombstone squad has received a task to receive some intel for the US military. Eventually, you end up retrieving the intel, and you're supposed to meet up at the safe house. And eventually, the ultimate goal or objective here, better yet said, is to reach the extraction point, which is on the rooftop of a factory building. And just like many other stories, things don't necessarily go as planned, as you'll see further down the gameplay. Now, the gameplay itself starts in an interesting way because it starts off with the end of the trailer and then it cuts back 15 minutes earlier into the story, which then leads into a series of flashbacks that eventually leads up to this point where you're trapped underwater in a submerged SUV. And right then and there on the first scene, we get our first look at one of the weapons we will be using in Battlefield 4, and it's the MP412 Rex revolver. And this is obviously a gun that we've seen in previous Battlefields, especially in Battlefield 3. So just very quickly here, I just want to go over some of the other weapons that have been revealed in the gameplay. So the first one is the M16A3, which has the M145 3.5 times zoom ACOG scope, which is a bit different from the previous one in Battlefield 3, because this one seems to have a Cobra sight in it, which is kind of interesting. It also has something new that we haven't seen on Battlefield before, which is iron sights on the 45-degree angle to the right of the gun. It also has new sound effects, which is good, but it still has the same reload animation from Battlefield 3. But one has to remember that this game is far from being done, so they may change it further down the road. There's also the G17 pistol, the M416 assault rifle with an ACOG scope and a suppressor attachment. There is also an AK-971, which most of the enemies in this gameplay are equipped with. The next one is the M249 SAW LMG. There's also the sawed-off 870 MCS shotgun with a Trijicon RMR red dot sight, and it looks similar to the one in Medal of Honor. One interesting thing we can take note of the shotgun is that the maximum shell capacity for the shotgun is 3 rounds. Continuing on now, we see the M32 grenade launcher, which is pretty much just a big spam cannon. And last but not least, the infamous M320 is making a return on Battlefield 4. There's also the PKA 3.4 times scope on the enemy's AKs in some of the different cutscenes throughout the gameplay. Battlefield 4 runs on DICE's latest Frostbite 3 game engine, which is a huge upgrade in comparison to the Frostbite 2 engine that powered Battlefield 3. And this Frostbite 3 engine, in one word, can be described as amazing. It will put a tear in your eye by just seeing how awesome and realistic the graphics look. It not only improves the graphics, but the audio as well. Now, one thing we can notice from this gameplay, as I'm sure a lot of you guys notice as well, is that the blue/orange tint is gone. Everything looks realistic as far as color grading goes. And one other thing is that the sun glare is not as powerful as what it was in Battlefield 3. It seems that they have toned it down quite a bit, because before you couldn't even see the enemy players if you had that huge blinding ball of light, what they call the sun, in your eyes. But throughout the gameplay, it seems that you can see your enemies a bit more clear, even with the sun facing towards you. Another thing that I looked for was whether or not there was a flinch or suppression mechanic in play. There's a couple of scenes where you can see your player taking hits and there's a bit of flinch and the aim gets offset a bit. But there doesn't seem to be as much suppression when you're getting shot by enemy bullets. However, I did notice that when your character was getting shot by the helicopter towards the end of this scene, there's a lot of suppression going on, blurriness and blood splatter on the screen. But that's something that's expected when you're getting shot by explosive rounds from a helicopter. So it can't be necessarily confirmed that suppression is making its way back to the game. I mean, who knows, it may be a whole lot different for the multiplayer aspect. But as of right now, it seems that they have toned down the suppression. Another thing worth mentioning about this gameplay is the water. There are really nice water effects in this game. There's a real-time reflection in the water, so you can actually see 3D objects in the water, which in Battlefield 3 wasn't really necessarily the case. And towards the end of the gameplay, when you see the aircraft carrier and you're on the boat, the water just looks absolutely amazing. It's probably some of the best water that I've seen in the game as of right now. Another huge upgrade that the Frostbite 3 engine brings to the table is the particle effects and the physics effects when you see a huge Michael Bay explosion. There also seems to be a destruction system in play that lets you chip away at cover a bit more. And when you do chip away at cover such as cement, it will leave behind the metal rebar that's built into the cement to reinforce it. So that's an interesting detail right there that DICE has included into the game. It also seems that the campaign action is going to reflect the open, emergent feel of multiplayer. Players will get more space and time to decide their own tactics. There will be the ability to highlight enemies and suggest firing positions for computer-controlled squad mates, as you can see here. There will be different approaches to key situations. In the gameplay alone, there were apparently ways to sneak through with very little gunfire. The idea is to emulate those spontaneous player-created moments of tension and narrative we know from online play. The head-up display, or the HUD, is a bit different but pretty self-explanatory. The map is also a bit different, and there also seems to be some achievements on the top right-hand corner. But I think those are just Origin achievements, being that they're playing on the PC. So that might be different depending on what platform you're playing on. Now, the takedown animation that we saw in Battlefield 3 looks to be returning, and it seems to be a lot more refined and polished. So hopefully that will translate over to the multiplayer aspect as well. And finally, towards the end of the gameplay, you see the unforgettable Asian Hannah. This was a character that was confirmed a while back in one of the images that was released on the Battlefield website. And she has to be one of those characters that we see quite a bit of in the single player campaign. I'm interested to see how the campaign plays out. They are taking the campaign to a whole new level. It seems like they're doing a ton of really cool stuff with the campaign, and it looks very cinematic, so I can't wait to see what else they reveal. And at the very end of the trailer, they say that the game will release at the fall of 2013. As of right now, they are only taking pre-orders for the PS3, PC, and Xbox 360. There's no news as to when you'll be able to get it or pre-order it for the PS4 or Xbox 720. So we'll just have to wait for that. One thing to keep in mind is that if you pre-order Battlefield 4 before April 13th, 2013, you will get a digital dog tag, and you will also unlock additional in-game content in Battlefield 4. And that's if you only pre-order the game. So I would take advantage of that offer and pre-order it as soon as possible. Hopefully you liked this video and found it helpful in some way. Don't forget to like and favorite the video and subscribe for the latest Battlefield 4 news. So until next time, thanks for watching.